In today's video, we're going to be checking out Chris Paul and what he does to destroy his defenders. Chris Paul is one of the best point guards of all time in the NBA, so let's get down and let's check him out. So first, Chris Paul is an absolute master at the screen and roll. If we come back just a bit, when we see this screen and roll happen, what's the first thing that he does? Well, his body is facing this way, the screen is coming up and it's going to be looping around. He's moving in this direction to bring his defender this way so that that defender obviously doesn't see that screen as easily and sets him up to be able to use that screen. We see that happen right here. Once that screen happens, we see Chris Paul start looping back towards that same side. See, most cases when you come off of a screen and roll, you want to attack this hedge man because that is a huge mismatch. And it is here too. Chris Paul has huge speed advantage against that giant. However, he wants to put his man in jail because his man was able to get around that screen. This screen is coming up to screen for the hedge man so that it should be an easy layup for Chris Paul. This is how this play is set up. However, Chris Paul wants to take advantage of getting that guy in jail, which means getting behind him, and that's what he does here. This screen was set extremely well. This man didn't help off, and that gives Chris Paul a massive open lane to the basket. And Chris Paul is able to utilize that lane and finish with his right hand right at the rim. And Chris Paul does this a lot. If he has a man who is literally beside him but just slightly behind his shoulders, he's going to look to get that man in jail, get in front of that man. The reason being is now that man has to go all the way around to get that ball or to start defending you once again. You can use this to your advantage because now you can attack the rim, you can gain a secondary defender which can leave somebody wide open. Or what we see here is he attacks and then both players leave him because he's looping around. This man may have been calling switch. Ibaka that looks to be Ibaka anyways there is telling number 14, I can't see who it is, to go and continue to guard Chris Paul. Neither of them really do. And he's able to get off that mid-range jumper. Now, Chris Paul is an absolute master at, of course, the mid-range, but how does he get those mid-range shots open? Well, we can see it right here. It's the change of speed. So if we put this in regular speed, he's coming up, he changes, he stops, he does a quick fake towards that side, and he gets himself an open mid-range. So being able to change directions, doing a quick cross with a small hop towards one direction can get your man shifted just enough, especially if there's a screen coming back down towards that side. And, of course, knowing how to shoot mid-range shots. That's very, very important. Being able to shoot that three-point shot and, of course, really changing the rate of speed that you're going at can get players onto their heels. This is super important. This is what you want to see when it comes to defenders. If you're coming up the court, as we see here, pause for a second, if that guy's down to his heels, you can pull up for the shot, especially if you're a good shooter like Chris Paul. He's on his heels. He's a dead man. Hands down, man's down. There's a lot of issues with this defense right here, and Chris Paul is able to sky up for that shot and, of course, make it. And then, of course, when he attacks the basket, here, this is actually, I'm going to rewind this even farther because his teammates basically driving towards the middle of the paint. That collapses some of the defense, but also Chris Paul moves from the corner to the wing. There was an opening here, and that's a better passing lane than trying to get through, of course, Gary Payton Jr. So, because of that, Chris Paul is able to move off ball to get that pass, and then the screen comes to him. He slightly uses that screen. He loops around just a bit too high to actually be utilizing the screen, but at this point in time, he has Gary Payton Jr. basically running straight towards the basket. And when that happens, Chris Paul recognizes that there's multiple other defenders who are not really doing anything to guard him, and he's able to then sky up for that shot because if you go 1-2 into your shot, your man's still down, you're going to have a wide open mid-range, and it's a much easier shot than trying to score on 3, maybe 4 people. And of course, getting that ball up the middle of the court in a fast break. This is a 4-on-3 situation, and he's able to recognize who the player is who has the best chance of scoring. So he could have passed to this man, but he's covered. He could have done a skip pass over here, but he's slightly covered. The best option here was Devin Booker because there's an open lane right there. Of course, being Devin Booker or in that position, you have to be able to see it. You need to start moving towards it at that point. And then, of course, Devin Booker gets that pass from Chris Paul, and the lane is still there, if not even bigger now. And he's able to take it right to the rim and slam it down. Really quickly on the defensive side, this man made a huge mistake. He should have went and cut that off. He has a man here who could have just covered the corner. But that didn't happen, and that was the reason why that basket happened. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, if you've got a man like this guy right here who can sky up and make dunks, that makes a point guard's life so much easier. So being a young point guard, when you're coming off of a screen, guess what? The first thing that you see is, oh, I got a lane, I got to score, I got it, I'm going to get a basket. But guess what happens? You're going to have multiple defenders on you, potentially even one pass away, guys, and that could have been a pass out to the corner, but look at the big man who's splitting the lane right now. He's massive. All you have to do is to set up an alley-oop, of course, if you've got a guy who can dunk that ball, or even get an alley-oop like that, and it's so much easier than trying to go 1-on-3 or 1-on-2. You just have to set up a pass. If you get it in position good enough, he can make that basket. I hope that this video helps you become a better point guard. If it does, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.